Alright guys, this is a paid request from Kelly. I'll leave it at Kelly because I do not know if I should say any more. Paid request from Kelly. Shouts out Kelly. She's on the channel. Great, awesome person. Ren featuring NF Paralyzed. I've heard NF Paralyzed. I don't know where Ren comes into this, what verse it is. But I'm interested to get into it. That being said, someone's been trashing me on YouTube. There's this reactor reacting to my reactions. I know, preposterous. He's been trashing me, dragging me through the mud. I want to tell you guys I'm not going to give up. You know, I'm going to try my hardest, and I'm not going to let his comments, you know, about me, about my face, about my recording studio, I'm not going to let those stop me. So here we are, Ren, featuring NF Paralyzed Fanvideo. This was dropped a day ago. Pretty cool.
We are something that is a mismatch of everything. And we've got to embrace our own imperfections. And we've got to remind ourselves that if we're hurting, it's just part of the human experience, and better days will come too. Even in amongst that pain. And yeah, whereas when we look at a demon, we see evil, whereas looking at an angel, we see good. When we look at a god, we see powerful. We're all of those things, man. We're demons and angels and gods mixed into some imperfect creature that ended up on this floating rock in space.
I could not agree more. You know, there's a duality in every person. Some people have even been saying, like, hey, man, this guy who's trashing you looks a lot like you. And I'm like, okay, so what? There's a duality in every person. And, no, it's really true what he says. I mean, you know, in my earlier years, I did a lot of crappy things to a lot of people. You know, I was damaged. I had some trauma that I hadn't worked through. And eventually I took it out on other people. We're all, I mean, we have an immense capacity for good and an immense capacity for bad. And if you watch, you know, the reactions to my reactions, you'll see how bad people can be. And if you watch just my regular reactions, you see how relatable and honest and vulnerable a person can be. You know, the good side of them. So, in all seriousness, everyone has that duality. I've never met a person that's all good or all bad. Maybe Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know. I didn't know him personally, but I don't know. Maybe he helped an old lady cross the street one time. I do not know. Anything's possible. Tell me what that Ren sample's from. I'm kind of curious. Okay, I'm kind of curious. I haven't seen a lot of interviews, but it seems like it's almost from an interview or like a little script, like he wrote something down and just wanted to rehearse it and get it out to people. I understand that. You know, I relate to that.
And it wasn't that it became any easier.
This is dope. There's no rapping. So it's a sample of Ren talking about, it seems like talking about his life. This is sick. Because I was like, well, I've already heard the verses on Paralyzed. Like, great song by NF. Very relatable. I mean, he goes, like, for those of you who are like, oh, NF's, like, I don't know, he's corny, or he's just like, you know, he's always crying about something. Look, that's true. But he does a very good job of succinctly kind of walking people through his emotion in a very universal way. I'm curious, man. I'm curious. And by the way, I really hope that other reactor doesn't trash this reaction, because I would be pretty annoyed personally.
And it wasn't that it became any easier to deal with. It was because I eventually came to accept that I had to live in a body that was full of pain. And that made it a lot easier, because the more I resisted, like the more that I fought against that fact, the more I was like bitter about it and angry about it, like the more I was like, why the fuck is it me? Why is it my body?
Okay, in all seriousness, yeah. And this is transferable because Ren's main thing, I believe, was physical health. And obviously there's mental aspects to dealing with a physical health problem, a medical problem. That being said, yeah, definitely transferable to mental health. I mean, like, when I was like really young, like early teens, I definitely had points where I was like, I mean, even before that, like probably like 9 or 10 for me personally. I was like something like I knew because my friends didn't have the same thoughts, my friends didn't have the same problems, and they all noticed this shift. They were like, dude, like, what's going on, man? Like, something's like, they didn't say like, hey, something's wrong with you, but they were like, dude, something's off. Like, there's something going on. Like, can you express it? And I really didn't know how to express it. A huge, I could not agree more with Ren here. Like, accepting whatever the hell you're given, like your parents, mental health disorders, physical health disorders, medical health disorders, economic status, societal status, whatever it is in your world, you have to accept what's in front of you, okay? You cannot thrive if you're unable to be real with yourself about what's around you, period. You've never met a person who's successful or who's conquered a demon of theirs who was completely full of it, right? Like, there's just like a complete liar who like couldn't look at themselves in the mirror and be honest. You never met a person like that who had gotten over, a real problem. So let's keep going here, guys.
That hurts. Like, why my friends get to go and live normal, happy lives. I was really bitter about that at the start because I missed a lot of birthdays, I missed a lot of New Year's, just lying in bed.
This is especially awesome because NF's song originally is about the mental. It's kind of talking about two things: either one, like a traumatic event, and then the shock and like almost mental and physical paralyzation that comes after that, or depression. How over time you essentially become numb, and you feel paralyzed, and you're so anxious. So there's two things there. But NF was talking about the mental. This is awesome. Because NF, his hook is I'm paralyzed, but it works exactly with what Ren is talking about. And so it just goes to show, man, like whatever struggle you deal with, comparative suffering is kind of a stupid conversation to me. Like, I had like this traumatic event. It's like, okay, well, that person had that traumatic event. It's like, are we playing the suffering Olympics? This is a question, the philosopher Dave Chappelle asked. Point being, in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, like, pain is pain. Okay, what I'm about to say is going to sound incredibly stupid. Pain is pain. Struggle is struggle. And what it takes to overcome a hurdle and a struggle is relatively similar. There are different paths to overcoming your struggles. Everyone has some kind of a different path. It's not like, oh, here's a prescription for overcoming trauma. Oh, here's a prescription for getting over your ego or whatever it is. There isn't that. But let's keep going because I'm chatting, and I don't want that guy to do a reaction to this and trash how much I'm talking right now. You know what? Should I care though? I don't know, but we're gonna keep going.
Until I was just like, stop fighting against my demons and stop fighting against the pain and stop saying why me, that I got a lot better. And I just was like, well, you know what, like, could be a lot worse. And also as well, like, so what, like, let's make the most of these limitations that I've got, or let's use these limitations that I've got and turn it into something else. and try and alchemize it into something more productive. And that's why I feel very lucky to be in the creative industry, because I wouldn't be able to do that in an office job. So
No, you would not. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, look, I'm not here to make everything about myself, but you're watching my reaction channel. So I'm going to talk about myself. Yeah. I like Ren. I would love to meet Ren and talk with him. Because it seems like we have similar mindsets. It seems like we have similar. So mine's like a lot more mental, but the biggest thing, you know, we all have demons. You can't exercise, like, regardless of whatever the Catholic horror movies want you to believe, you can't exercise these demons. I don't believe it's possible. These things are with you. I'm not talking about like ghosts, spiritual demons. I mean like an internal struggle or some kind of system malfunction. I've got extreme social anxiety. Like extreme. I have extreme general. I just have extreme anxiety, and it bleeds into the social aspect. I have extreme anxiety regardless. I tried to fight it. I tried all these different medications. I tried talk therapy, medications, drugs, you know, escape through pleasure, everything. None of it worked. When I was really starting, the only way I started to be able to make a change was accepting the shit that was wrong with me as a part of me. Okay, it's like, I don't know if it's in like Sun Tzu's Art of War. It probably is, but it's like you have to identify the enemy and accept who the enemy is, you know, before you can combat it or even try to deal with it or begin thinking about dealing with it. I hadn't even accepted it. I was still a 10-year-old kid wanting to just be a normal kid. You know, I was a 10-year-old kid. You know, I was really like 20, 21, 22, but mentally I was just a 10-year-old kid who just wanted to be a normal fucking kid. And I had problems that had come up for me, and it was hell to deal with. And I knew I was different than a lot of people around me. You know, some people had stuff that they were dealing with, and I'm not trying to say like I'm super special, but something was fucking off with me. Okay, I wasn't one of those people that was like, oh yeah, I mean he's like somewhat serious, and then you know, but he's really normally a good. It's like no, I was like something was off with me for sure. Let's keep going here.
I feel very blessed, and I feel very blessed to have you guys supporting me.
Don't like the video, don't comment, don't subscribe, don't recommend. I'm literally making these videos. I'm going to post this so that I can watch it. I don't even care that I was paid to do this reaction. Okay? I am doing this video so I can post it on YouTube and watch it myself, and just all these people start showing up. It's ridiculous. Don't think about it.
As well, because without that I wouldn't be able to do that.
So did he just get a record deal there? You guys, you renegades, let me know what that video just was. I'm curious what they were jumping up about, but
It wasn't until I stopped resisting that fact
oh, it's him and Knox. That's cool.
that life became enjoyable. And I know that I'm crying right now, but I'm genuinely, for the most part, very happy, even though I still put up with a lot of symptoms.
An important thing is, in order for somebody like Ren and, you know, somebody like me to talk, like go into detail about some of these things, you have to understand it's difficult to talk about because you have to put yourself back there mentally in order to effectively communicate what it was like. Now, I've done an insane amount of self-reflection, and so I'm able to like lay it out a little bit more removed from it, because I mean, I like, guys, when COVID hit, I was laid off. The government started sending me more money than I was making when I was working in a decent office job. So I had about 9 months, and one of the I could be strung out on like God knows what right now. One of the things I'm really thankful that I did was I exercised, and during the exercise, this is very important. During the exercise, I thought about the shit I didn't want to think about. Okay, I thought about the shit. I had come across this guy, and his name is David Goggins. Okay, all seriousness here. And one of the principles of his is you have to go to the dark places of your mind. Just like Ren's talking about, you have to go to the dark places of your mind and confront the shit that your mind doesn't want to think about, because that's probably the stuff that's holding you back. So I'm fortunate enough where I can talk about these kinds of things, but it's like, man, no one should make fun of Ren, crying about something like this. I mean, it's years of his life. I mean, this was a huge struggle for him. This was difficult. This was not an easy thing to overcome. And more importantly, it's like, man, I understand being a certain way and just refusing to accept that you are that way. I 100% get it. So let's finish this out. I think we're done, but I'll just make sure. And yeah.
And I am. It might be hard to convince you right now, but I am. I'm very happy in life, and I feel very fulfilled, and I feel like I'm doing things that I would have dreamt of years ago.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm kind of in the same. I'm really not here trying to say that me and Ren are the same person, but I relate to what he's saying because, man, I look at myself when I was 19, 18, 17. I was taking a certain drug every day. This was not prescription. This wasn't weed. I wasn't smoking weed. But point is, I was addicted to a drug, 17, 18, 19. Incredibly anxious. I couldn't hold down a job. People would give me the right advice. They'd be like, hey, like maybe try this, maybe do that, maybe I didn't want to accept anybody's help. I was so entrenched. It wasn't even that it was like entrenched in like an oppositional way. That was a big part of it. But ultimately, I was running from my own mind. I hated what my own mind would tell me. I hated the amount of anxiety I had, and it shut me down for years. And now I chose to not confront it. So I'm not saying I literally had no choice, but it was something I was dealing with. I didn't know how to deal with it at the time. Fortunately, now I do. But that's a big thing. I never would have imagined back in those days that I would hit a point where I'd be comfortable enough literally speaking my mind, telling people about this, putting it out there. I mean, doing reactions and knowing that I'm going to miss things, that is like it makes me incredibly anxious, but I'm starting to even get used to that. It's like, you know what? I realize I can't catch everything. I'm not going to get everything. I'm not going to always get all the backstory, and that's okay. That being said, I will wrap this video up, guys. Thank you, Kelly, for, sending this my way. Yeah, you guys take care. Stay safe. Don't subscribe to the channel. Don't like my videos. For the love of God, stop commenting stuff like, hey, man, thanks. I really related to what you said. It's just, I'm serious, I just want to I don't want to have to quit my day job in order to do YouTube full time. I really, I don't. So please stay off the channel, stay away from me. And, yeah, in fact, I'm going to end this video before people start getting bright ideas.